Well, hello and a really warm welcome to our collaboration and networking webinar. We're delighted to have you here this evening. A huge welcome from the Digital Schools Awards team. You'll notice that Aoife and Anna are on with us tonight, as is Anne-Marie. So they'll be here in the background to just help with our presentations and our speakers. And if you haven't met me before, my name is Joanna McLean and I'm one of the members at the Digital Schools Award and help out with a few things behind the scenes. So you heard Anna last week if you were here presenting, but she's got a little bit of a chest infection this week, so I'm going to take over just to make sure we save our voice for future sessions. So you're very welcome to join all of the sessions that we've got. So obviously this one tonight is on collaboration and network, and for the next 30 minutes, we're going to have two fantastic speakers talk about how they deliver collaboration and networking in their school. But you'll also see that we've got a whole wide range of webinars, all focused around the SELFIE categories. Two we've had already. We looked at the SELFIE tool, we've looked at leadership and empowering learners, and this one's on collaboration and network. And you'll notice all of the others are there to really help scaffold you through this journey that you're on. But also these webinars are there to hopefully inspire you and motivate you by what you hear from Lorraine and Jess, who are both going to be talking today about what's happening in their schools. So hopefully you'll be able to make it to some of the future sessions. All the SELFIE categories are represented there, with the addition of two other areas, remote learning and STEAM, which are really important digital areas. And I think you'll find that there's a lot of great information at all of these webinars. So before we launch into the schools, it's probably worth giving you a little bit of background about both of the schools. Dominican College is in Ireland, and we're going to have Lorraine McCool speaking from there, and we've got Robert Gordon's College from Aberdeen in Scotland, where we've got Jess Power speaking. Now, both of these schools have been participating in the SELFIE pilot programme. So for the last 2 years, they got their award last year, and they've achieved all of the badges. Both of these schools are amazing candidates. I know Robert Gordon's particularly well because it was with Jess that I worked when she was going through that process. And it's amazing things that are happening in both of these schools, and they achieved all of their badges, and they also include the mentor badge, so they're also part of the digital schools journey on the platform, helping the academy schools that are coming on board this year. So I don't want to take up too much time because this is just a little 30-minute webinar. So we're going to have Jess speaking first, and then we'll hand over to Lorraine. So I hope you get a lot out of these sessions. If you've got any questions while our presenters are talking, please put them in the chat, and either Anna or Aoife will manage to answer them, or we'll get a chance at the end to address any questions we've not managed to answer. So welcome, and Jess, will I hand over to you?
Just got to quickly unmute. Hello, everybody. So yes, my name is Jess. I am based in Scotland, but you could probably hear from the accent, I'm a native Australian, but been here for about 20 years now. I'm a classroom teacher. I teach biology and physics, but for the last 8 or so years, have also been the digital education coordinator at Robert Gordon's College, which is a large independent school up in Scotland. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about collaboration and networking. I won't spend too long talking about why I think those are very important, because I think we all have an understanding of why these are important, why it's important to sort of benefit from each other and support each other. But I want to spend a bit of time talking about one particular collaboration that we have, which is our exchange with MIT. This is something we started a couple of years ago, but it's actually gone from beyond the classroom now and actually expanded in quite a few different areas of our school. So I want to share what we've been achieving. So at Robert Gordon's College, we very much have the philosophy of we're trying to embed digital skills into everyday teaching. I certainly believe that the young people today are growing up in a really digitized society, and they need to be digitally literate. They need to understand what the tools are capable of. They need to understand what the benefits and the downsides of those tools are. And to achieve that, we have a digital curriculum at the college, but that is actually embedded in our broad curriculum. And it's something that we actually deliver from nursery all the way through to S6. And we are quite lucky that we are a sort of 18 age group school, that we do have that ability to sort of start with very basic and build up to quite advanced skills. And we really do feel that. We feel that it's really important that the young people who leave school not only have a good education in the specialist subjects, but they are people can go out, use technology, talk about technology, and understand it really well. And we have got a really big history of collaboration and networking in our local community as well as across Scotland. We really feel it's important as a school up in Scotland to really talk to other schools about what we're doing, try and find out what they're doing. This exchange of professional knowledge is really important because, as we say again and again, there's no point reinventing the wheel. We all doing things, and it's always in our benefit, and it's certainly in our pupils' benefit, to share what we're doing with other schools, so we can all have a Scotland where we've got a really dynamic, young, engaging population who are really keen about their education and very confident moving on to maybe, apprenticeships or moving on to like tertiary education. So this sort of, I call it like collegiate discussions, this sort of exchange of information, exchange of ideas between different institutions, I really feel is really important, because I certainly always learn something every time I talk to another person from another school. I really like to sort of pick and see what they're doing, find juicy bits that might work at our school, adapt it and elaborate. And I really love this quote, that collaboration is not a solution to every problem and question faced by a school, but it certainly can go a long way in answering a lot of them through this sort of exchange of knowledge. So how have we built some of our networks? We're really lucky. We are quite an older school. Certainly from my perspective as an Australian, 1750 is quite old for me. But we are really lucky. We have got a very established alumni network, and we absolutely tap into that. We tap into it for just developing relationships with individuals, but also those individuals in academia. We then tap into them now that maybe they are working different businesses in different sort of institutions. And when we tap into them, because we already have a somewhat established relationship, they already know the school, they understand what we're trying to achieve. You can be a bit cheeky. You can ask for maybe a few more resources or a little bit more support. Then you maybe would be comfortable approaching somebody who didn't already have that established relationship with a school. And we certainly do use our alumni network. We have an alumni network across the globe, and we absolutely tap into it. Every time we're going to start a new endeavor, and I'm going to talk about MIT today, we pretty much always find it's our alumni who are the starting point of that. They can introduce us. They can say, well, this is somebody from my school, they've got this interesting idea, can you maybe help out? And they can be just maybe that sort of grease the wheel, sort of introducing you to the right people. The other thing we do really well at the school is we have professional learning pathways. All of our staff are engaged in very specific CPD, and they choose a pathway and they sort of reflect on it every couple of years. This has only been going formally for a couple of years through these specific pathways, but we've had a long established CPD. And by doing that, by empowering people with professional knowledge and experience, you then give them the confidence to approach others who maybe are outside the school who have an interest in those particular areas. And we're trying to really support this idea of, like, again, professional discourse, discussing, sharing ideas. And again, the professional learning pathways maybe give you a bit more confidence to sort of do that. The last one is we are very lucky. We do have a lot of facilities on site where we can host public events. And that kind of, again, can be a really nice introduction, like, hey, come to our school, present at this event or present in the seminar. Can our staff come along? Can they learn from this? And again, you make all sorts of connections and relationships. It was actually through public hosting one of the first Google trainee events. Gosh, I'm trying to think when this was, maybe 2014 is how I got actually interested in becoming a Google certified trainer. I really hadn't thought about it, but meeting some of the chaps from Google really kind of gave me that impetus to do it. And it's something that I'm really, really pleased about, because that has again opened up many different areas. So we do have quite a lot of networks. We are part of what we call GALE, a Global Alliance for Innovative Learning. It's a network of other independent schools across the globe. We've got some based in Shanghai. We've got some based in America, down in New Zealand, down in Australia. And the idea is, again, we support each other. We have staff going to each other's schools every year. We do research through each other's schools. We maybe come up with a research question, then a teacher will go to that school and try and investigate it. Going through our exchange down in New Zealand is actually how we really pushed our IT program, our digital education program forward, because we saw what Scotch College was doing in Adelaide and went, right, we need to catch up, because we are definitely not doing as much as we could. This is back in 2012, I think it was, before I kind of even had the role. And it's something that, you know, we've definitely benefited from. Again, we have all these relationships with Google Groups as well, but the one I want to talk to you today about is the MIT Global Teaching Lab program, because it's an amazing program that we're very lucky to benefit from. So we actually were the first school in the UK to actually have this partnership with MIT. And again, how do we develop this relationship? It came about through an alumni, introducing an alumni. We originally were approaching them to maybe get some ideas for some fundraising. And they had an idea about some students maybe coming to our school and having a bit of a talk. And just through those networks and through those discussions, and again, being a bit bold, being a bit cheeky, you can develop these relationships. And yeah, we developed this back in 2016. And since then, every January, except for the year you could probably imagine, 2021, but pretty much every other year, we have had several young people from MIT come to our school and stay with us for pretty much the entire month of January. We actually did manage it this year, and I'll talk about Lily and Susie a bit later on, who were amazing candidates this year. The goal of the program is to learn by teaching all over the world. And what they really want to do is get their students who have experience, they're usually third or fourth year students who are sort of near the end of their academic study, in different STEAM areas, and go to different schools, observe what's happening in those schools, have dialogue with the young people, talk about their own experiences, but talk about, you know, studying at a university like MIT. What is it realistically like? What's the application process like? And we get them in the classroom. We absolutely get them up in front of the students, talking about their academic knowledge, but also their experiences of going to a school like MIT. And it's fantastic. It really, really is fantastic. And the students we've had over the last years have been amazing. They're always incredibly bright, because of course they are. They've been selected to go to MIT. But because they're younger, they can have a discourse with the pupils at our school that we just can't. We can't have that same in sort of in relationship with the students. We haven't gone to, you know, necessarily a school overseas like this. We haven't gone through that selection process. We don't understand what the opportunities and the research opportunities are like. They do. They are actually living it. So it can be a fantastic opportunity for the students at our school to find out what it would be like to go to something like MIT. And sometimes it just whets their appetite in a particular area of STEAM that they hadn't considered before. We've certainly had quite a few students recently get interested in AI after talking to some of the candidates about artificial intelligence. So Brandon Wayne was just, I want to use the word polymath, but he was a brilliant student to talk to, incredibly knowledgeable, had absolutely no qualms getting up in front of the young people, taught a lesson in computing, did several seminars. We not only have them in front of our students in the classroom, but we actually host quite a number of events where we get other local schools to come in and have that opportunity. They also presented several times to the governors and like parent groups. I mean, it's fantastic for them to share their experience and their knowledge. Rachel was another student who came to us. She actually had an interest in all things to do with space and space exploration, optical instrumentation. And again, she came and talked about her experiences, and she was based in the physics department, sharing her knowledge. Brandon was obviously based in the computing department as a programmer. This year we had Suki and Nalina, and as I say, they were absolutely amazing, really confident young people. What was very strange for me is I never actually met them in person, but we did a lot of work together. Even when they're on site, because we're sort of somewhat still isolating in 2020 to January, they were in their little classroom and they were presenting to the students from those sort of situations, but they were incredibly knowledgeable. Particularly, Suki was very sort of confident about talking about AI. And from that, I not only got her in front of the classroom talking to students, I actually then tapped into her knowledge to help with a project that I had been working on, which was RDC Online. We just recently launched an online school where we're now delivering certain SQA qualifications. This year it's higher computing science, next year will be higher computing science and applications of mathematics. But around that delivery of SQA curriculum, we'd had an idea for quite some time about developing individual modules where people could study areas of STEAM that interest them, that maybe weren't addressed actually in the broad curriculum. And we had this idea of writing modules on cybersecurity, game design, artificial intelligence, entrepreneurship, and data science and machine learning. I'm not an experienced person in all those areas. I wish I was. So when I went to go write these, again, who did I first turn to? Well, I turned to these collaborative groups we had, these networking opportunities. I turned to our alumni. We actually developed a strategic advisory board for this whole program, and it's entirely made up of alumni. The cybersecurity module is being written by, written by a university lecturer down in England who went to Dominican College. The game design one is being written by several students who have actually now studied game design at university, who are ex-alumni. And the MIT students absolutely helped me write the artificial intelligence module. They were able to bring a lot of their professional expertise into it and give it weight and give it substance. Because again, I didn't have the expertise to write this confidently. I definitely would want to tap into their professional knowledge. So this is what I've always really loved about these sort of relationships. You always learn something new. I always get invigorated whenever I have these conversations. It always makes you want to run a million miles an hour to try do a whole bunch of different things. And I think by helping each other and feeding off each other, we are all developing a much stronger Scottish educational system. And I appreciate a lot of you aren't based obviously in Scotland. So I'm talking a lot about sort of our local network and that sort of our national network. But that's one thing I've always really appreciated about these opportunities, you know, these professional networks, is this sort of exchange of ideas. So that's us.
Jess, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing what's going on at Robert Gordon's College. And I have put in the chat if anybody has any questions about, Jess explained how she got started with some of these networking and collaboration ideas, but if you've got anything that you're not sure about or you missed something, please put it in the chat and we'll get a chance to answer it at the end. That was fantastic, Jess. Thank you so much. And Lorraine, I think you're going to take over.
Hi, yeah, I'm just going to share my slides here. So hopefully you can see that all right there.
That's great, Lorraine, wonderful.
Brilliant. So good evening, everybody. I'm really delighted to join you at today's SELFIE Digital Schools Academy webinar. And a huge thank you to Jess. Really wonderful to hear about the excellent work in collaboration and networking going on. Wow, I've got some great ideas from you already. So it just shows the benefit of sharing what you're doing in your own school. So my name is Lorraine McCool and I'm a Deputy Principal in Dominican College in Griffith Avenue in Dublin. And I suppose I'm very passionate about digital learning. I've been in this role for about 6 years now, and that was one of my tasks when I came into the school. So, you know, after a year or so, I moved us on to the Google Workspace for Education platform. And, you know, we really have experienced quite a transformative journey since then, which we were very grateful to have when we ended up online for quite a period of time as well. So a little bit about the school, Dominican College. It's an all-girls secondary school. It's on Griffith Avenue in the north side of Dublin, a lovely leafy green avenue there, if anyone's been to Dublin before. We've over 780 students and over 50 teachers, and we're very proud to be a Google reference school since June 2020. And we really have been delighted to participate in the Digital Schools Award. And we were involved in the pilot programme, registered in November 2020 and got our award last December 2021. So just I suppose to give you a little flavour of what's going on in the school, it's hard to talk about collaboration without talking about our students, and I suppose a lot of what we did in school has filtered down to our students. There's so many things that have happened in the school over the last number of years. I just had to pick a few little things just to give you a little insight to you know, our students collaborating at One of the areas we were assessed on as part of the Digital School Awards, and one of our strengths being collaboration and networking, was highlighted. And even in an online space, when we were in lockdown, our students really needed to collaborate. And one of the tools we used a lot was Jamboard. But it's very interesting that that has been kept by our teachers and students into the face-to-face classroom now, as we can still use it with students in the class, in groups. But the beauty of it is, of course, that they can go home and use it as well. A really good example of how we've built up our skills of collaboration among our students is our annual Christmas Student Council quiz. And it's where students use multiple collaboration tools to run a whole school event. The whole school literally comes together for a Christmas quiz. You know, and we believe that that has, you know, come from our teachers who have learned lots of collaborative skills and tools over the last number of years. And on the right hand side there you see our politics society class. They develop and create lots of Canva posters and things like that. But collaborate in groups in order to do that. So they're just a few little examples. If there's a school out there going for Digital School Awards, of the type of collaboration going on among students in our school. But I suppose it's the teacher collaboration and networking that has had the biggest impact on learning, teaching and assessment for our students in the classroom. And one of the things that we found worked really well in our school was, if we wanted to try and upskill our teachers, was that the leadership team, we needed to use those tools with our staff. So every opportunity we get to use collaborative tools, we are using them. So for example, we have an example of a staff jam here. So even after lockdown and online meetings, thankfully we're all back face-to-face meetings, but what we still do is, when we're putting our staff into groups, we give them a Jamboard each. They work on whatever the question might be that's up for discussion, and then we put it up and run through it at the end of the meeting and get our feedback. And it's a really, really good way of collaborating and, again, upskilling some teachers who maybe don't use those tools as often. The best collaborative tool that we started out with back in 2018 was shared drives, and we have built that up over the years and embedded it in our school. And you know, inspections now have become completely paperless, so we just share all our planning in our shared drives, and it is really a great example of, you know, how our teachers can collaborate in one space. And it was vital really when we weren't together in school during the lockdown periods. This is an example of us collaborating on school policies, using common functions, that sort of thing. So this meant that we became much more efficient in our school, you know, using these digital tools to collaborate. And I'll talk a little bit more about networking now as well. One of the greatest things that we came up with in the last number of years was using our VLE Google Classroom to make a virtual staff notice board, and we've kept that. It has been key to collaboration and communication with our staff, and has really meant that, you know, our workflow is much better in the school, and everybody knows, you know, where all the information is. And that has really, really helped in our daily efficiency, I suppose. But one of the big things I wanted to really talk about today and focus on is our collaboration and networking with organisations outside of the school. So what were the kind of things that really helped us to have that transformative journey in digital learning? And one of the things that we did was, we, in the early stages, got help from different organisations outside of the school, because we had a certain amount of skills within the school, but we realised quickly that, you know, we need to look outwards as much as we can and see where we can get the help to really give us the skills to bring our learning forward for our students, our teachers, and all the staff in our school. So the PDST is a professional development support service for teachers in Ireland, and they were one of the first people that we reached out to. They have lots of different programs, and they had a program running about using digital portfolios to embed formative assessment, and we managed to get on that program very early, and it really helped to transform how we assess or transition year students, how we report on their learning. And also it worked very well because we were using a digital portfolio. We had just started using Google Sites, and that was in the senior course. Transition year is the senior year in our school, but that's even trickled down now into the junior years. So the importance, I suppose, out there, you know, to schools of reaching out to organisations outside of your own school, because it really, really can lift the digital skills within your staff. You know, as we learned and upskilled, one of the things we did recognise was the importance of sharing our learning with other schools that were maybe at an earlier stage on their journey. So, for example, there you see on the left-hand side, Feilse is an annual festival of teaching and learning excellence here in Ireland, run by our Teaching Council. So we applied to do workshops at Feilse, and we delivered, you know, workshops on our experience of implementing digital portfolios in transition year, and also about our journey introducing Google Workspace for education. So, you know, we really thought that was important, you know, to share our learning with others. And like Jess was saying, you know, when you go to these events, you will always meet others. You know, you could be delivering a workshop, but equally you might meet other people. They have great ideas. You can share, take away something with you, something else to work on. And then, of course, the one on the right, this was set up in 2020, GEG Ireland. And I saw Jess had it on her list there as well in the UK and Scotland. But it's a wonderful community of like-minded Google schools. You know, we set up in 2020 because, you know, there were so many people looking for upskilling in the digital space, and, you know, we run lots of workshops online. Most recently, we met together in Google headquarters here in Dublin, but it's a wonderful group of educators. Not only do we, you know, provide resources for each other and workshops, but there's great sort of collegiality. If you have any issues, any problems, we have a little group there, and we can go on that group and help each other out. So it's been a really, really important part of our journey in collaborating across the country with other schools. Becoming a Google for Education reference school in June 2020, that really, really opened up doors for us. We were one of the first schools in Ireland to get this recognition, and, you know, suddenly emails were coming in, you know, can you do this? Can you speak at that? Would you like to come to this? You know, it just meant that it put us on the map a little bit and opened opportunities to us that maybe we wouldn't have got otherwise. You know, things like, you know, we got to present in the Foundry in Google headquarters a number of times and met lots of other schools. Like, I picked up so many ideas from going to those days and brought them back to our school, and equally then shared some of those ideas later on down the line. We were very lucky then out of that the Google for Education team in Dublin came to visit our school. And, you know, days like that where somebody comes into the school and we can showcase what we're doing in the classroom with our students, you know, there was something about it that lifted our staff, you know, getting to have those conversations and getting the acknowledgement that, you know, we're really doing well. Our students had stories to tell about their digital journey. So, you know, we really felt that was good in terms of lifting our staff and celebrating their success. So much so that after that visit, you know, a number of our staff started to train up on the Google for Education certification exams, level 1 and level 2. And we've quite a number of staff now who have those qualifications, and it's another way of recognising how far they have come. And I suppose it is important to say that, you know, if you were talking about what was the impact of this collaboration and networking, well, really it did build capacity in our staff, because a lot of the teachers on our digital learning team really took on a great leadership role in the staff that they may not have otherwise had, and that had a great impact, a very positive impact for our staff. So there's lots of different outcomes that, you know, are not necessarily just digital, that come out of the collaboration and networking. I suppose I love this picture because I feel that it is a culmination of maybe lots of things that happened in our schools. So last May, because we were a Google reference school, we were invited to run a Google for Education Day. And they were running them throughout the UK and Ireland, and May is a very busy month, but it's hard to say no. So I said, yeah, we'll go for it, we'll do this. And, you know, I sort of was asking the Google team, well, what are you thinking? What kind of event is it? And they were saying, well, just that you get a few local schools in, and, you know, primary and post-primary, and, you know, run an event, share your journey. And, you know, that was fine. We started to prepare and plan, and what was starting out as a local event ended up being a national event. We got over 70 people coming to our school at a very busy time in the school year, from all over the country. We had a most wonderful day where our digital learning team, did workshops, we did different keynotes, and I suppose when I stood back that day, I thought, right, this is really what collaboration and networking is all about. So I suppose that was a great point to get to in our journey as a school. And certainly we were very proud to be able to run that, and that so many people came and like that shared their ideas, and again, networking, getting to meet lots of other people. So to finish up, that's just a picture of us receiving our digital award last year in UCD. I suppose it is important to say that we are now a mentor school. So we've met with our school that we're partnered with. We've had an online meeting, number of emails over and back. And it's a real privilege to be able to do that, to be able to collaborate with other schools, and hopefully we will get to meet each other face to face as well down the line. And I'm sure while we might have some knowledge to share with that school, that we will also take away something from that. So we really had a wonderful experience with the Digital Award process. And we like to think we'd keep on learning, keep on collaborating and networking. So thank you everybody for listening, and I'll see now if there's any questions. I'll just stop sharing here and hand over to Joanna.
Oh, Lorraine, that was fantastic. I think I've got a kickback there. That was super. That was so interesting and so informative, and both sort of inspiring and motivating. I think for any of the schools that are listening today, I think there is so much that they can take away from both of the digital journeys that you've been on. And I know you've been in post for several years and you're both very experienced. So it's great for our academy schools that are on here and are going through that journey themselves to really hear what you've been getting up to. And I think to reassure them that it never ends either. I think that's one of the problems when I'm speaking with schools, is they always think there's this end point, and if they tick this and tick this, they'll get there. So it's great knowing that you've been on this journey for years and years and years now, and there's still more that you want to do, more that you're being pushed towards and enjoying, and it's great once you get that accolade, whether it's from digital schools or whether it's from Google, or if schools are on even Microsoft, it then opens up more doors and you actually meet more people and more opportunities present themselves, and there's more networking and collaboration actually then takes place. So it's like that success sort of breeds more. That's great. Well, if there are no more questions, then I think I'll leave everybody to get on with their Tuesday evening and get on with the rest of their night. Thank you again, both of you, Lorraine and Jess. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you at the webinars that are coming up in the next few months. Have a great evening. Bye.
course I always sit in the end and to see if any questions pop up.
Oh, that was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And Jess, even although I've been through that journey with you and I know what the school's been up to, it was just so interesting hearing it summarised like that and then put into context. And Lorraine, it's so amazing what your school is up to. And I loved how you started with the learners and then the teachers and then the organisations and then sort of growing and getting bigger. And I suppose that highlights to schools the different types of collaboration that they could be looking at as part of their journey. So thank you both very much. And listen, have a lovely evening. I'm away to make dinner now. I'd much rather stay here.
I'm away to class here, so I better.
Well, thanks again.
Energy levels up here. Lovely to meet you both. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.